Let's start with Ms. Lam. Was she included among the weak performers who you identified to Mr. Sampson?
I don't believe so, no.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Did you in 2005 or any time consider Ms. Lam a weak U.S. attorney who was an ineffectual manager or prosecutor?
No, I didn't.
Or did you perceive her to be one who chafed against administration initiatives?
No, I didn't.
Mm-hmm. Did you communicate any negative assessment of her to Mr. Sampson or recommend that she be removed?
No.
Mr. Margolis apparently said in his interview that Ms. Lam was a bit insubordinate and even suggested that she might agree with that characterization. Would that, in other words, my view of her, and I only met her in a hearing here, was that she was pretty tough-minded and pretty clear, and she had some pretty good ideas about what she ought to do with guns. I take it from your statement here that you were asking her to look at it. So this is early in the history of the gun issue with her, and you're saying look at it, what's happening in the state and with local prosecutions, and decide whether you need to adjust your priorities. So you're not mandating that adjustment, I take it, right?
Correct. I was urging a very close look, because her district, along with the 9 others, were in the bottom group, to make sure there wasn't a contribution that we were missing the opportunity to make. And I don't know what happened thereafter to the gun numbers. It never came back to my attention. So
Mr. Comey, the conversation that you had with the 10, including Ms. Lam, about the relatively low number of federal gun prosecutions in her district, did that indicate any dissatisfaction by you with her?
Not personally. I think the fact that I was calling was designed, I mean, I intended it to really energize the U.S. Attorney to focus on the issue. But as I've explained to people a bunch of times, when I was running the U.S. Attorney's office in Richmond, Virginia, there was a real need for a federal impact on gun possession crimes because people weren't getting the kind of time they needed to reduce violent crime in the state system. When I moved to being U.S. Attorney in Manhattan, Bob Morgenthau and his office were all over gun possession crimes and doing it very aggressively. So my approach changed. That's why I didn't want to mandate to a U.S. Attorney, do X number of gun cases. What I wanted them to do was to focus on it and figure out where they could make a contribution.
Nothing in that conversation or about that conversation would be meant to suggest that her performance was deficient and that she should be terminated. Is that a fair characterization?
That's a fair characterization.
Of the other 10 U.S. attorneys who you called who had relatively low prosecution numbers, how many of them were terminated in 2005 or 2006?
None of them to my knowledge.
In your opinion, would the number of such gun prosecutions be a reliable indicator of whether a U.S. attorney was performing well or should be terminated?
Now, it tells you nothing in a vacuum. As I said, just comparing my experience in Manhattan to my experience in Richmond, my gun numbers per capita dropped off dramatically when I became U.S. Attorney in Manhattan, and I thought I was doing an okay job.
Overall, what was your evaluation of Ms. Lam as a U.S. attorney?
I thought she was a fine U.S. attorney. I never had experience with insubordination with her.
Do you have any information or idea from whom, whether in the department, the White House, or elsewhere, Mr. Sampson got his evaluation and recommendation to terminate Ms. Lam?
I do not.